Hello everyone, it's Sue from Paper Drake. Welcome to my channel. I set myself a project a few weeks ago and I'm here today to show you the completed thing, providing I can get through this video with this voiceover, because this is probably the 8th or 9th time I've tried to complete something and I have had the most horrendous trouble. But I will endeavour to show you what I've been up to. So I decided I wanted to make a journal just using any scraps that come into the house as far as paper is concerned. Cereal boxes, the inside of cereal boxes, tissue paper, stuff from around bath bombs, carrier bags, ribbons from around tea towels or dishcloths, candle boxes, and tags from clothing, buttons that come in the inside of clothing sometimes, and you haven't used them. I have a little stash of those. So basically just threw everything into a carrier bag until I thought I couldn't get any more in, to be honest. So this is the result. And then once the bag was overflowing and a piece of card came through the door in the shape of a box from something my husband bought on Amazon. When I saw the box, that started me thinking it's time, because I could see that once that was opened it was going to be good for using for a cover. So I kind of processed all the material, flattened everything out and got it together into card, paper and tags and ribbons, bits of string, that kind of thing. So then I cut my pieces of card, and I did have a look at a few YouTube demonstrations, because I haven't made a journal like this. I've put a journal together using fabric and that kind of thing, but not using the method of masking tape. And I saw this, I watched a channel by a chap called Mike Deakin, who I'm sure a lot of you will know, and I found that really inspiring. So do check him out if you haven't seen before, because his instructions are really clear. So it doesn't matter what size you do this, because ultimately it depends on your box or on your materials. So I put it all together, and I'm afraid the video does chop and change a lot at this stage, because some of it has disappeared and I think is floating around in cyberspace somewhere, but I've put it together best I can, a bit like the journal. So just line it up, make sure everything's stuck down with the masking tape and that you've left a decent gap in order for the cover to be able to be opened flat and open and close easily and smoothly. I found the whole challenge that I set myself to be really interesting. There's a lot of craft material out there in the shops and online, and it's really easy to spend lots and lots of money. So to actually restrict myself and use only these things was really quite good fun, interesting and challenging. You have to improvise where normally you probably just nip out to the shops. Well, I would. I know a lot of you are much better than me, and you are very strict with yourselves, but if I go into town I go past the range and it's very easy to take that right turn just to have a quick look at what they might have. So this was good, and it's a bit like if you paint a picture and you use a restricted palette. Basically you have to become more inventive, more creative. You have to think harder about what you're trying to achieve. So I put 2 layers on of the masking tape, and then I decided that to cover that up I would put some of the brown carrier bag to use, and I cut a piece that covered it and put a couple of slits either end so that it would make it a little bit easier to stick. I also restricted anything else that I used in this journal, so the only glue I used was glue that I would normally have around the house, so that was PVA, the masking tape, which is another adhesive, and I did use Fabri-Tac. That is because Fabri-Tac has actually replaced my normal household fast grab glue. I no longer buy what I used to buy, and I buy Fabri-Tac. I'm a complete convert. So the other things, I mean, I got brushes from goodness knows when, paint brushes, and the usual knives and rulers that you have knocking around the house if you've done any decorating and painting, or if you do any sketching. So this was purely made out of all of those things. Some useful places to find stuff, or to take stuff home from: art galleries. There was a really lovely exhibition on downtown, and the advertising cards that they had were really beautiful, so I managed to get a couple of those, and I've put one of them to use in this journal. And I think I do love junk journals that are made from just junk, but sometimes I want something a little bit more than just a front cover that says Kellogg's Cocoa Pops. So I'm trying to make something that is prettier, I suppose, than that looks more like one of the junk journals that have developed since the original junk journals were made. You know, we've developed quite artistic books with beautiful fabrics and beautiful papers and things, and I wanted I wanted to achieve that kind of standard, if you like, while still using packets from Cocoa Pops, or cornflakes in my case. So here we have now, I've put all the PVA on, and basically it just needs to dry out and be tidied up a little bit. I like to stand it on edge to dry, and I like to ease the folds of the spine just so that they're stretched a little bit and won't crack, I hope, at the end of it all. So just keep going back, and you have to wait a little bit for PVA to grab, so just have to keep titivating it and messing around with it a little bit until you can see that it's starting to grab, and then it's then just a matter of putting it to dry. So now I've jumped a little bit on this due to the filming difficulties, but you can see here that the spine is now nicely dry. Pleased with it, and I've got together some pages. I cut up carrier bags, and I folded and cut to size all the other bits of paper that I could find in there that I thought would be suitable. So I've got some tissue paper, because I just love the texture of that. I've got the brown paper from the rest of the carrier. I've got the paper from the big sea salt bag that I kept everything in. I've folded in some of the little children's activity sheets, and using 3-hole pamphlet stitch pulled to the back of the spine rather than the inside, I've sewed all of that onto a piece of the card from a packet of chocolate, and then I just starting to glue that on. Now you see here my great weakness for using too much glue. I've got my Fabri-Tac, just trimming off the loose ends of the wax thread that I used, and then putting on quite a liberal amount of this glue. Now I don't think you probably need as much as I use, because I not only put it on this bit, but I also put quite a lot of it on the spine too. This is because I worry about it coming off. Now, I've never had a book come apart, and in fact I did once have to take one apart because of some idiotic thing that I did that really had to be changed, and I nearly destroyed the rest of the book in the process. But I still worry about it, and if I don't put plenty in, I will have bad dreams. Okay, so now you just offer the whole signature blocks that have been sewn onto the spine to the spine of the cover. Well, they've been sewn onto the piece of card, I should say, and then just putting them onto the cover. It does help to have a paper clip handy, just to keep them all together while you fiddle around trying to get them straight. And it is a fiddly thing, but once the Fabri-Tac grips, which doesn't take very long, then you're okay to go. So just press it down, and then you can open out all of the different papers, and then just find the centre of the signatures. There are two here, just so that you can get right down inside and press from both sides, and you should get a decent fix. And then this is the finished book. Was a bit of a jump, I know, from the last scene, but once the things are in, once the signatures are in, because of the lost footage, I've had to jump to this next bit. I put a couple of holes in the front and back of the cover, and I used the dishcloth ribbon, which already had the bows tied in, so I didn't even have to tie those. Threaded those through. I stuck a picture on from the exhibition I told you about. There's my nice little spine. And then this was from a carrier bag that had contained soap, and so I just tore 3 bits, and then using a bit of eyeshadow I just roughed up the edges a little bit, and then stuck them on the back. And then inside, this was from a box containing some kind of room scent fragrance. This was some cornflake box, and then inside again I've used a piece of the mandarin and lime, I think it was, room scented container, and that's a little tuck spot, or 1 or 2 things just to finish holding down, but it's more or less there, I think. The 2 signatures are quite firmly stuck, and they're firmly sewn, and then I've used little bits of everything. A bag that something came in from Etsy. Here's the little fold out from the Butlins activity sheet. Bits of paper bag. Bits of clothing advertising, some more little fold outs, and there we have it. So still got the inside to decorate, but as you can see, it looks quite sweet. Thanks for watching.